Art of the Elements, Episode 4, Gallium and the Disappearing Spoon. Gallium is an element interesting in both its physical properties and the row it is caused between theory and experiment. Gallium's most notable property is its melting point, which is just below 30 degrees Celsius, meaning that it will melt in your hand, and since its discovery, it has been used in the practical joke known as the disappearing spoon. Gallium is very malleable, meaning it's easily shaped, and looks quite a lot like aluminium when it is solid, so if you simply mould it into a spoon, offer it to a friend to put sugar into a cup of tea or coffee, and you can watch their shock as the spoon comes out without a head. I've put a link in the description below to a video of a disappearing spoon in action. Gallium was originally predicted by Dmitri Mendeleev, creator of the periodic table, back in 1869. It was known as Eckes aluminium because it held the place below aluminium in the periodic table. It was the first element discovered after he'd created the table. It was discovered by Paul-Émile Lecoq de Broglie. It was shown that many of its physical properties were similar to those predicted by Mendeleev. The discovery caused arguments between Mendeleev and Lecoq, each claiming the discovery element. Mendeleev claiming it because he'd predicted it, and Lecoq claiming it because he actually had a sample of it. They debated for a number of months via scientific journals, and the debate became rather petty sooner or later, with Lecoq claiming that Mendeleev had stolen the idea for the periodic table from an obscure French chemist, Mendeleev claiming that some of the properties measured by Lecoq were wrong, and fairly angrily telling him to make a purer sample and test these properties again. Mendeleev's accusations proved to be correct. After Lecoq repeated some of these experiments with a purer sample, he received values far closer to those predicted by Mendeleev. This shows an interesting situation, where the man of theory knew more about the element, an element that he had never seen, than the man who first isolated it and carried out experiments on it. The real argument between Mendeleev and Lecoq was one of theory versus experiment, something that continues throughout science to this day. Did Lecoq attempt to find the element because he had seen the gap in Mendeleev's table, or did he find it independently, and it just happened to fit the gap that Mendeleev had left? The naming of gallium is also somewhat contentious. Lecoq said he named the element after Gallia, the Latin name for France, meaning it is one of two elements named after France. However, other claims it is part of a multilingual pun, as Lecoq, the French word for rooster, translates into Latin as Gallus. Lecoq himself denied the claims that he tried to name the element after himself. Gallium was originally used for thermometers, in which it has an advantage over mercury because it is not poisonous, but is more different to handle, and is wet in a similar way to water in that it drips and will leave residue on your skin, whereas mercury doesn't. Since the 1960s, it's largely used as a part in semiconductors. That's all for this episode. Be up with the next one on Thursday, and make sure to check out that video of the disappearing spoon.